Hello, welcome to the recorded version of a session around preparing to spend the teacher incentive allotment. This presentation is geared towards districts who are spending TIA funds for the first time. My name is Matthew Holzgraf, and I am working on spending and funding related items on the TIA team. Note, we recommend viewing this presentation after the session on identifying teachers and on SCOMs. As a general note, you can access this deck on our website at tiatexas.org/resources. There are also other available materials related to the teacher incentive allotment and spending. For this session today, our objectives are to review requirements for TIA spending, share best practices related to TIA spending, and support districts in understanding their key decision points and next steps. Aligned with those objectives, we will be going through the following items on our agenda. First, what is TIA spending? Second, upcoming timelines. Third, spending requirements. And finally, key decisions and next steps. To start us off, these are a district's important decision points related to spending. They include how to distribute the TIA allotment, the timing for compensation, whether to forward funds to teachers who may depart, and how to engage and communicate with stakeholders. I also want to recognize that districts may be coming to this session from a variety of places, from those with existing designation systems to those who only have one or two locally designated teachers. The TIA team is always happy to address district-specific questions over email, and so feel free to reach out if there are other things outside of this deck. Next, we want to share a high-level timeline for what to expect when it comes to TIA designations and spending the allotment. In this session, we are focused on TIA spending action items that will largely occur from April to September of each year. I do want to share that TIA spending can be quick, especially in a district's first year, but with clear planning, districts can ensure that they are able to meet all compliance needs related to TIA. To walk through the timeline, beginning in April, your district will receive confirmation of new designations awarded, the calculated allotment value, and will confirm or dispute allotments through SCOM's RTL application. By August 31st, your district is required to spend all of the allotment on either teacher compensation or other allowable expenses. We'll talk more about those shortly. Finally, in September, you will receive the funds through the annual settle-up process as a part of the Foundation School program. I do want to recognize that districts that are required to pay out the funds before they receive those funds from the state. This can cause concern, especially for folks who do not regularly work on district accounting. This is a common part of working with state funding that is received through the FSP. Most districts choose to pay out the funds and mark it as receivable from the state until the funds come in. If there's district-specific questions, the TIA team is always happy to address questions that may come from your finance team. As I said, this is a quick timeline and involves some key actions over several months. But by taking early steps and making key decisions as they're laid out in this deck, your district will be prepared to spend the TIA allotment on teachers. To provide more context on how your district will receive the TIA funds, I want to start by emphasizing the SCOM's report that you will receive in April. This is your primary source for the total payout and allocation by teacher and is final. If you have any questions on the amount that needs to be paid out, feel free to reach out to us. For our district finance professionals, you will also account for the funds that come through the Foundation School program and are shown on the Summary of Finances report. Until the September settle-up, the Summary of Finance will be based on estimates from the prior year, which are typically just a carryover amount. For example, if this is your district's first year employing a designated teacher, it will say 0 until the September settle-up. After the September settle-up, it will be updated to align with the SCOM's report. To reiterate, the SCOM's allotment report is your best source for the generated allotment amount by teacher. The FSP and Summary of Finances will confirm that amount in September after you have paid it out by August 31st. Now, switching to the requirements related to TIA spending. These are the reasons where most districts experience issues and are must-haves when it comes to being in compliance with the law governing TIA. First, for each allotment generated, your district must meet the 90% and 10% statute requirements. At least 90% must be spent on student-facing instructional staff on the campus where the designated teacher works. Up to 10% can be used in one of two buckets, either to support the designation system or support teachers in getting designated. Note, districts can and do choose to dedicate 100% of generated allotments to teacher compensation. Second, your district must have a clear plan for payout by August 31st of each year. When we think of the 90% and 10%, we often get questions on what can fit in each bucket. 90% is spent on student-facing instructional staff on the campus where the designated teacher works. This can include designated teacher stipends or salary increases, other teachers at the campus and their stipends or salary increases, and compensation for other staff whose primary responsibility is instructing students, such as instructional paraprofessionals. Up to 10% can be used to support the designation system or to support teachers in getting designated. This commonly includes any professional development for teachers, TIA assessment costs, observation rubric costs, rater trainings or certifications, other student growth costs, central supports such as funding for a TIA coordinator or additional HR needs, or compensation for staff associated with TIA needs or with their professional development. For an example, a school leader or instructional coach that is conducting additional PD. We often get questions around how to account for benefits and retirement costs that may be associated with increased compensation due to TIA funds. Funding for these costs can come out of either the 90% or 10%. In terms of what is not allowable, the 90% cannot include school leader compensation, other non-instructional staff compensation, including instructional coaches that do not teach, central staff or staff at a different campus. The 10% cannot include general administrative expenses that don't align with these two buckets, and it cannot include compensation for staff not associated with TIA needs or with professional development. If you have additional questions about how to think about the statute, we encourage you to reach out to our team. As you consider the spending options, we do want to take an opportunity to highlight some of the spending resources available on the TIA website. These include, first, the Cohort E Spending Plan Exemplars document, which provides a range of what is possible with TIA funding and sample application language. Next, a model cost calculator, which allows districts to see potential expenditures and payments for different TIA spending plans. Third, a guide to funding considerations for strategic compensation, which is geared towards finance professionals and provides an opportunity to consider holistically the funding options for strategic compensation. Finally, we've made available a Spending Turnkey Engagement Toolkit, which includes turnkey materials such as a survey, engagement PowerPoint, and other teacher-facing engagement tools. All of these are available on our website, tiatexas.org, on the resources page and under the spending section. I now want to go through a few frequently asked questions at this point. First, is compensation from the TIA allotment eligible for TRS? Yes, all compensation from TIA is automatically TRS eligible. Note, any questions from teachers should be directed to their TRS representative. Should there be any money sent from the previous district to the next? Nope. All allotment funds will be handled through the FSP and are based on where the teacher is employed in a given school year. How do teachers transferring in and out of the district affect the TIA allotment? Designated teachers who are employed as of the winter roster submission in an 087 role and meet requirements related to credible service will generate an allotment for their district. I'll discuss more about how movement of teachers will affect the generated allotment later on in this presentation. As we switch to next steps and decision points, I want to highlight the key considerations for your district. They include how to distribute the TIA allotment, the timing for compensation, whether to forward funds to teachers who may depart, and finally, how to engage and communicate with stakeholders. First, around planning for distribution or amount of the allotment going to teacher compensation. At least 90% must be spent on student-facing instructional staff compensation on the campus where the designated teacher works based on winter class roster submission. This can include designated teachers, or other instructional staff, which are commonly instructional paraprofessionals. Some common options that we see include 90% of the allotment going to the designated teacher that generated the allotment, 60 to 80% for relevant designated teachers, and reserving a portion for retention or for supports instructional staff, or 100% going to the designated teacher. In terms of timing for teacher compensation, first, districts must expend funds annually by August 31st, and it's based on the allotment amounts that are finalized each April, which are based on the winter roster submission. Common options for districts include doing multiple payouts from May to August after annual funds are finalized, or doing a one-time lump sum payment, especially in the first year that a district may be receiving a generated TIA allotment. As part of your consideration around forwarding funds, we wanted to start with some context about how teacher movement affects whether an allotment is generated. For all of the scenarios we are going to walk through, the key date is winter roster submission in February and where a teacher is employed at that time. For the first teacher, this is a teacher who starts and finishes the school year with the same district and campus. In this case, they would generate an allotment. The second example has a teacher that starts off the school year but leaves before winter roster submission. In this case, no allotment would be generated for the district. Finally, and this is the most important example to consider for your planning purposes, we may have a teacher who is there the majority of the school year, including for winter roster submission. In this case, the teacher would generate the allotment, but would no longer be employed by the district. As part of your planning, you have to consider whether and how to forward funds to a departing teacher who has generated the allotment. For forwarding compensation, districts need to determine if they plan to forward payment to a teacher that resigns or retires. Note, if they choose not to forward funds, your district must still spend in alignment with statutory requirements. Some common options that districts take include forwarding funds to teachers who retire or depart, or choosing to spend funds on retained teachers. Sometimes districts also choose a mix of these two options. On this slide, we've made available two versions of model compensation plan language that we have aligned on with TASB. The first is intended for districts that want to compensate both designated and other instructional staff, while the second one is for only designated staff. The language in the second paragraph on each of these includes the decision around whether to forward funds. Turning back to our timeline slide, I want to emphasize that planning now and over the coming weeks will set up your district up for success when it comes to receiving the TIA allotment and spending it on teacher compensation. As a reminder, you'll get notified about the final generated allotment amount through SCOMS in April and have until August 31st to spend those funds on either teacher compensation or some other allowable expenditure. In terms of next steps for your district, we would recommend taking the following actions. First, take time to plan and finalize decisions around the amount, timing, and mode of compensation. Next, if needed, amend your compensation plan prior to teacher payout. And finally, also if needed, amend your budget prior to teacher payout. With all of these, we strongly recommend communicating decisions and payout information to designated teachers and stakeholders. Thank you for taking the time and watching this webinar around preparing to spend your TIA allotment. If you have any additional questions, please feel free to send us an email at tia@tea.texas.gov. I would also recommend taking time to look through our website at tiatexas.org.